people that come to Nashville now trying to get into the country scene, or maybe their sounds 40 years ago would have been considered country, are seemingly finding more doors open for them in Americana and bluegrass. I don't know if you could speak to that at all.
Yeah, I think in some ways it could be that the Americana and bluegrass worlds are more open than what the country worlds are by comparison. That must be the reason.
Well, there's definitely a lot of similarities between what Americana and bluegrass is as a genre and sound to possibly that old country sound too.
Yeah, I think that's where something that sounded actually country would actually maybe wind up would be in Americana or in bluegrass.
Well, what do you think about that word Americana? Because sometimes it might come across as like a kitchen sink kind of thing, where you don't know where to put it, so you call it Americana.
Yeah, I think pretty well that pretty well describes it. Because even there's great Americana that the group comes from Canada or Scotland or New Zealand, or you know what I mean. So it's not even per se American, if that's what Americana means. I see at best the term could maybe speak to the cultural and musical roots of America.
Yeah.
But so much of those roots also come from somewhere else. We would not have bluegrass music without mountain music or old time, and old time really is a derivative of English and Irish and Scottish folk music.
Yeah.
So it becomes a term, and I'm not sure how great the term is, but I don't know that we have another term or a better term. That's one of the troubles with terms. Like country doesn't sound very country these days, does it?
Sounds more like pop and rock and roll, or even hip hop.
Yeah, exactly. Right, and it's almost like, damn, it would have sure been a lot better if they just used another term altogether and left the country one alone.
Yeah.
So it all gets very confusing, and it's more confusing than ever in many, many, many ways. I mean, I wish it were simple. I wish country were country, and pop and rock were pop and rock, and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, time marches on, and people, meld different influences together and come up with maybe something new and fresh that combines a lot of stuff.
Well, then you see people like Jason Isbell and folks like that are, if you're not going to let me in this door, screw it. I'm going to go another path and find my way around.
Yeah, and those are business decisions. Those are strategies from managers and agents and artists too involved as well, and finding a place to call home. Back to that Steely Dan song called "Any World That I'm Welcome To."
Yeah. Well, I remember when I interviewed Marty Stewart and we were talking about similar topics. He had said, "The thing I keep my eye on isn't trends. A great song is what drives everything."
Yeah, and I don't hear a lot of great songs out there on country radio, and actually I haven't for a very long time. It's a rare event when there's a great song on country, and that's I grew up on country. It saddens me to my core, but it's more of just letting go of. Great songs still exist. They just may not be heard as readily as they once were, when great songs seem to, be kind of a mainstay of great music like country music,
Yeah. Well, and yourself with your songs, those are fantastic songs. But I was curious, playing devil's advocate with this question, is if you were a young musician today, do you think you would have found the success that you found in your career?
I don't know. I think as far as the success, especially with my song, I talk about it more like when people ask, how does it happen? I'd say it's more like winning a lottery, and then me describing, how I bought this ticket over at this liquor store, and then I bought this over at this 7-Eleven, and I have this, strategy to win the lottery. And then sure enough, I hit the lottery one day, and now people want to know how I hit the lottery. I'm not sure that I don't have much of an answer, because I know great songs of other people's that didn't hit the lottery, and I know great songs of mine that didn't hit the lottery either, but 2 or 3 or 4 have, and what makes that difference is something I can't explain. But I think it has something to do with business.
Yeah, of course. But I think too, especially with career longevity, with like folks like I had mentioned before, like Marty Stewart and Jim Lauderdale and yourself included, I think a lot of it too is that you've always kept close to the source, whether that be an older musician or just the foundation of what makes these genres great,
Yeah, that's where it came from. I came from, genres that had great music going on, including rock and pop and country and anything else, bluegrass or folk or anything. And I still hold to that. I still do it the old-fashioned way, which is good songs, good playing and singing. If you're making records, maybe they're good-sounding records. You've hired great musicians to be on them, or if it's a solo record, that. I'm still I'm a dinosaur. I feel like that the old-fashioned way is kind of what I know how to do.
Well, it's almost like if it's not broke, don't fix it in terms of your process.
Yeah, for mine, that's the way I see it. I'm not going to change what I do generally speaking. Specifically speaking, I could. But as a general kind of wave my hand over the subject, it is about songs, and it is about, musicianship, and it is about integrity, and it's also about doing this, for years and years, decades and decades even. So I'm still holding to that, because actually, what else would I do?
Yeah. Well, I think if you compromise your craft, career longevity goes out the window.
It can, or some, here's a crazy example, but Barry Manilow, why do we still hear about him? Is it because he's incredible, unbelievable, or just that he's just, I don't know. So some things are mysterious, and some things, had success, 40, 50 years ago, and still can bring in people, today. So it's a slippery slope. There's not and believe me, I've tried to find an easy answer to these questions, general questions or specific that you ask, but I don't find that there is an easy answer. I think I do this because I still want to, and it's almost as simple as that.
Yeah.
I see plenty of reason to stop, or I see plenty of reason to keep going. At the end of the day, it's how do I feel about it?
Yeah.
What do I want to do?
Well, I remember Marty had mentioned the idea that he just does what he does, and the pendulum's going to swing no matter what, and sometimes it swings away from you, and sometimes it swings at you.
Yeah. I can appreciate that, and Marty has stayed the course. Marty's been putting out great stuff, since he was a child. So, and I think we just keep doing what we're doing, and some days we're in favor in one way or another, and other days or other years we're not. But I guess we still keep doing this stuff.
Well, it's one of those things I would assume early on in your career. It's like hell or high water. This is what I love doing.
Yeah, I do. I do love music. Music still captures me. It just does, and I actually can't even help it. It just does, and I just follow into the capturing, and it still has the goods for me.
Yeah.
You know?
This article that I'm going to be using this interview for is for the Balsam Range Art of Music Festival, and I was curious with some of the bluegrass circles that you may run in. What is it about bluegrass that attracts you? What is it about that genre that speaks to what you love about music?
Well, in most of it, there's like, killer playing, just, amazing playing, virtuoso style stuff. It, as part of it sometimes it's very soulful, heartful singing and harmonies. And it's group ensemble dynamics,
Yeah.
Authentic would be another part of it. I think authenticity and bluegrass kind of have to go together.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to believe that singer. You have to believe that sound and song. For my money, anyway.
Well, you can't hide behind anything. The idea being that what you hear on the record is what you're going to hear on stage.
Right. Some people, go toward that and can pull that off, especially, if it's a 4-piece band, and it's the same band playing at the show as what was in the studio. They can pretty much sound the same in either case, and that's where I'm different yet again is, when I show up at that show, I won't be sounding like my records. It'll just be me. I'll be solo.
Yeah.
It'll be the songs and it'll be my singing, but I'm actually not going to sound anything like my records.
Yeah.
But again, I definitely know I'm the weirdo about that,
Well,
and that's okay.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah.